Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a Sunday night, Sunday evening, and that's always a very special time. First of all, I try and practice that routine that, Saturday morning I get that extra work done, and then I start at noon to do some rest and reflection and recreation and relaxation. Sunday is a time for worship and to continue a little bit of that family time, relaxation, restoration, reflection. Do that with the family, and usually around 4 or 5 o'clock on a Sunday night, I begin to gear up for the week, and that's where the idea of a Sunday night meeting came from me to me, and I've shared it with others around the world who say they have found that to be a very, very helpful practice. Put some music on, perhaps light a candle, try and see if you can get in a meditative or at least a quiet, still state, and then just think and maybe pray and perhaps sit with a notebook and don't get real hard-nosed, but some of the things that are priority and some of the things that might be Monday morning. Let those come to you, but don't work very late. By the evening time, perhaps have something that relaxes you in terms of maybe a treat of some kind. Don't eat too much, and then get to bed early so that you will rise early on Monday morning. Well, today I've been off for a couple days. There's a good reason for that, which I will explain. But what I want to do is two words caught me. Brain rot. Brain rot. And another two words. Killing whales. What does brain rot and killing whales have to do with some of the things that might help me and might help you as you think about how you're going to live better? Hard to believe we're almost in August of 23. Well, that's a little bit of the thoughtful agenda. The program is interesting ideas. We hope that will be true for you. And the program begins right now. I've always been a student of history. In fact, I was a teacher of history for many years, and that's what I was doing before I decided to go back and become one of my first love persons, and that was to learn the art of radio. And it is an art. It is an artistic, creative piece of work. Learned it from the best in America, learned it from the best in the British Isles with BBC, and then I learned it simply by making all kinds of good programs and making all kinds of really bad ones. And in the autopsies, both of the good and the bad, where I learned. And then I learned from others, those who were really good. I didn't envy them, I enjoyed them. Remember that. Don't envy them, enjoy them. Because, in effect, if you take it right, you'll learn from them. So I learned from them and studied them, paid attention to them. I didn't always listen or even agree with their content, but about their style, about their energy, about their voicing, about their pausing, about how they connected, how they kept their energy up, and then how they gave people a chance to stop and think. In effect, every radio program had the opportunity to certainly be informative, and it certainly should have at least a touch of wisdom and a touch of humor if possible, but hopefully it also had a little bit of a challenge. So that's where I am tonight. Hey, here we go. First of all, brain rot. Now, one of the things I am planning to do is I have a audio program, and I've made it a careful point now to oftentimes read a book and then actually go and do the audio program, or sometimes I've done the audio program and then I go look at the book. And so that has been very helpful. And let me just pick up and show you the one I have now. Okay, here you can see it. And it is by Daniel G. Amen, though I think he pronounces it Amen. A-M-E-N. And it's called Change Your Brain, Change Your Body. The Ultimate Brain-Body Makeover. And a couple things I've learned from him already. First of all, he said, by the way, most people who get in tune with him are looking to lose weight. And that's part of the reason, I've done pretty well, but I want to lose a little more weight. That's part of the reason when I was going through the library here at our wonderful little village of Cary, I found it, picked it out, and he said, here's the problem. When you're trying to lose weight, when that's your goal, it'll be hard to do it. In effect, it works best if you don't have a weight loss goal, but you have some other goal that is much more motivating. Because, not eating good food or food that you like so that you can lose weight may just not do it because it's hard. However, if there is something else, and obviously we know this when the person has the heart attack or they have some other serious illness and the doctor says to them, you better lose weight or you're going to die, unless there's some other motivation involved in the losing of weight, it seldom works well. In fact, for most people, all of the diet programs don't work at all. And Dr. Amen, so be it, or Amen, says, in effect, it's not the body work you need to do, it's the brain work you need to do. And that's the whole point, is, in effect, learn your brain type. Learn that this is about your brain getting the work that it needs. Change your brain. And then your body will oftentimes follow. It will change too. And so I'm finding that, and for some of you, of course, this is, basic stuff. And it probably is for me too, but I needed to remind myself of it. I know this. I've taught for years, what you think, you become. It is your mind that makes the difference. So it's not just your mind, it is actually the brain. And then the recent research which has come out has detected what, for all practical purposes, they're using the word, your brain rots. And I thought about that this morning as I was getting ready to finish up the last of my melon. That I'm trying to have a piece of this good melon every day for breakfast, again, so I will lose a little weight. And there was a part of it that had begun to rot. Well, the nice thing was I was able to chop that off, and the rest of it was fine. But then I began to think about, yes, the problem is that certain ways of thinking, certain ways of eating, certain ways of doing things can contribute literally. The brain is an organ like any others, and we all know that it's going to lose parts, it's going to lose ways, it's going to lose memory, and obviously the Alzheimer's phenomenon is one that we're all a bit fearful of, and some of us know that it's something that we may have to deal with. And for some people, it is something they know they have to deal with, and they're in the midst of, as one of my real mentors said, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, he simply said, I had a prayer. He said, I just simply prayed for my family that I would go first to eternity before I went into insanity. First, let me go into eternity before I go into insanity. Wow. And I think he just about made it. But he's passed now. And the legacy that he has left, and the reason he left a legacy was he was an incredible writer, speaker, and teacher. And that's why oftentimes I say that when you do what I'm doing, which is creating spoken words, written words, things that can be passed on through the various media, you may actually have a touch of immortality. And my friend Reuben really does have. He's gone, but his influence lingers on. He still is an influence on my life and in my life, and hopefully something that I pass on to others. So change your brain, change your body. That's something I'm going to get real serious about this week. I also, as a history teacher, the film Oppenheimer has just come out, and that has been one of my interests, the atomic bomb, the World War II, and I knew of the life of Oppenheimer, and my daughter actually did the work in which some of the letters and correspondence of Richard Feynman. Now, those of you who know a little history, it was Oppenheimer and Feynman and a few others who were the real brains behind the project to build the atomic bomb. And they obviously were men of character and mystery and all kinds of other things that make them human. Touch of divine, but very human. And so that was my interest. And they say, at least the initial run is that the film is excellent. And I very seldom go to films anymore. But I think I'll make a point of finding out about Oppenheimer, because then I'm going to talk about it. And that might be helpful and useful to you. Hey, it's 11 minutes. Maybe this has been good for you. I have one other thing. Catching whales, killer whales. Let me tell you a little bit of that story, and we'll go from there. One of the things I did is I just started roaming in a thrift shop, and since I got myself a little DVD viewer, I came across a video, and it was a Ron Howard. Now, Ron Howard, I think, is a real artist director. It's hard to believe. Makes me feel really old, because I remember watching him. I was even older than he when he was being Opie on, that Mayberry station. And so, but the video was a picture, a story based on a true story. And that means, of course, it's got artistic license in it. But it was about the man or the men who actually lived through the fact that the whale industry, or in 1840s in America, the whaling industry around the world, but particularly there, was a big deal. And why did they want to catch whales? Well, whale oil was very valuable, and it was made by capturing a whale and taking the blubber and getting the oil out of it. And it was the way that that's what people used for lights. It was oil, just like a kerosene or those eventual kinds of oil. It was the oil that people used. It was very valuable, and people risked their lives going out and trying to find the whales and then killing them and then filleting them and processing it and bringing it back, and that's how they made their living. Well, it was a very dangerous way to make a living for sure. And the story is, and here we go, the story was that Herman Melville and the story of Moby Dick, the huge monster white killer whale, that story was based on some real stories, and particularly one in which it appears that this ship called the Essex, which was out to do the whaling thing, ran into a situation where, their boat was taken down, working with the whales, losing to the whales. They were stranded in their little whaling boats, kind of lifeboats, for days on end, literally to the point where if someone died, they were probably reduced to cannibalism of their compatriots. Horrible, awful, terrible things. But some of them survived. And of course, the idea was that it was Melville who then took that story of that situation and then actually turned it into, the metaphor is watch out. There's a lot of us and a lot of things in us can make us like, Ahab. We are out to do vengeance. We are out to achieve. We are going to kill the killer whale. We're thinking big. We're thinking bold. We're thinking all of those things. And of course, be careful, because that kind of thing, you may think you're going to kill the whale, but you may land up being done in by the killer whale itself. I found the movie fascinating, and so if you want to check it out, I will be glad to recommend it to you. Hey, there we go. Something that might be helpful to you as you think about the week. My name is Stan Houston. These are interesting ideas. We've got a lot of things coming up this week. Some classes that'll be helpful to you, and hopefully some information that will maybe challenge, entertain, and actually help you be more influential, have greater impact in your life, and perhaps maybe even make a little better income. I'll be right back.
He careth for you. He careth for you. When the worries and cares of your life seem to block out the rays of His light, never forget, never lose sight, for He careth for you, for He careth for you.
And I am back. And one of my colleagues said, "Stan, you talked about that film, but you didn't give the name of it." Yeah, a Ron Howard film, In the Heart of the Sea, and it's not recent at all. I mean, like I said, I got a used DVD of it for $1, but it's quite a story, and so it was worth the hour and a half, 2 hours that I spent on Saturday. And I was in a broadcasting block. Last program was on Wednesday, but Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there was so much going on that I knew I had nothing more to give to the world. And if you don't have anything else that's useful or helpful when people are busy, just kind of shut up. And that's what I did. And I felt better on Sunday that I can share some of these things with you. So there we go. Let me know how I can help you right now. Our coaching program is going and growing. We've been asked by a number of people around the world, the coaching experience. Here's what you have to do. You have to, and this will help you not be endangered by AI. First of all, have a real human coach. And then be a real human coach to somebody else. The robots cannot do good coaching. They have some principles, maybe some things they've copied, maybe things they've learned, but it only happens when a person is in deep, deep empathy and sympathy and perhaps almost loving the journey of the other to help them achieve what they wish to achieve. And then they pass it on to others. Reach out to me at stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. Thank you. Thank you very much. All the best and blessings to you on this evening, and may it flow into a good week. Bye for now.